Hello everyone and welcome back to Triple Crown Wargaming with me, the Loremaster, as I bring you my first reactions, my first feelings, my gut instincts if you will, on the new High Elf rules for Warhammer, the Old World. Now, the rules have been sort of circulated quite heavily online. We've seen lots of videos of people going through the books, so although I haven't got a copy in front of me to thumb through at the moment, what I have got is some time viewing those videos and having a look at some of the kind of pictures that have been circulated, so I can get a better idea of where they are and what they look like. So I'm not going to get too heavy and in-depth about the rules. What I'm going to focus on is kind of 4 or 5 things that I've seen that I'm really excited to get on the tabletop, because I think they look like they've had a real glow up, if you like, for the old world. So I'm going to start with none other, you knew I was going to say it because you know what I'm all about by this point if you've been watching our channel, and I'm all about the dragons. And the Dragon Mage looks like he's going to be a real force to be reckoned with again. Only level 1 now, but does have access to a couple of useful laws, but crucially it's that combined dragon stat line with the 6 wounds, and the way that the Ridden monsters use the highest armor save means that he looks pretty scary to me for what is kind of something coming out of my character slot, my dare I say it, traditionally my hero element. So I really like the look of him. I really like the look of Kelador stuff in general. And I just think Dragon mounts in general, it's not really a shock. Everyone's been talking about how good monstrous mounts look. And I think the Dragon looks like he's the real winner in this book, particularly as the Phoenixes don't look quite as hot to trot, if you like. The fact I can use the breath weapons multiple times now seems really good. And just that adding to the stat line is a huge help to High Elves, particularly to get around that really poor toughness value of 3. So Prince on a Star Dragon, for example, looks really cool as well, with his 9 wounds and his toughness of 6. Really excited to put a dragon on the table and for that to be something that's feared. The Keladorian general in me is nourished by such a treat. So I'm going to come back to Kelador a little bit later, but the next thing I wanted to talk about, because I saw it and thought, that's a real glow up, looks really good to me, is none other than the humble Seagard. Super impressed with these guys. The ability to reform after standing and shooting is my understanding of it. Obviously I haven't got the book in front of me at the moment, so I might be slightly wrong, but my understanding is they stand and shoot, then they reform, then the enemy chargers move. Now that's just ace. I really like that. That seems really cool. It means I can have quite wide frontage to maximise my shooting, and then when you finally charge me, I can flip that frontage down into something that's perhaps a little more combat sort of healthy, i.e. something that gives me more rank bonus is what I'm thinking. But I really like the fact that in theory I could go the other way as well if I wanted to, and I could go wider to try and get more attacks out of my front 2 ranks because my spears and my supporting attacks. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I really like that. I just think that seems really cool. So big fan of those, and I think it's nice that they've kind of incorporated that element from the Sea Helm before, which I think was really underutilised because it probably wasn't the best way of executing that mechanic. They've clearly gone, this was a good idea, but we could make it a little bit more sassy on the table. So I really like that. Really excited to try some Seagard out. Was very pleased in general that the core slot didn't change very much for the High Elves. Like that. Now I'm going to pick the one that everyone's talking about, that looks particularly hot to trot at the moment. I'm going to try and mix up my silly adjectives, but and that one is the Swordmaster Hoeth. I've seen loads of people talking about these, particularly people talking about the interaction with making them unbreakable through magic, or the interaction of giving them additional attacks through magic. But the big news is initiative's gone up to 6. They've lost an attack, which is sad, but there are ways to improve that side of them. Weapon skill 6 been maintained. There's a lot of enemies that are going to charge them and still get struck first because the Elven reflexes make them initiative 7. Really spicy, that. +2 strength, -2 to your save, 6s to wound, ignore your armour and your regens. Just, they look scary. They look like they did in 7th in particular, which I've got very fond memories of, quite small units of them in 7th. I don't know if I'd go quite small. I've seen quite a few people talking about a real sort of anchoring block, thinking around, I think, this idea of making them unbreakable. I don't know about that because I've not really got the book in front of me and I've not sort of thrown any dice yet, and I think that's the crucial element. Is it's all right for people to say, oh, it reminds me of this style of list or that style, or this is going to be good or that's going to be good, but it's hard. But yeah, Swordmasters, love it, love the fact they've got a glow up. Can't be joined by everyone anymore. Don't hate this idea. Think it could lead to some really thematic and cool armies. I do think there's a question of whether you'll have as much variation in your list, because people maybe want to bounce their characters around. But in general, I think in Warhammer, people tend to have an idea of where a character's going to go, and they put them there. So when you've selected the right kind of upgrade or honour or whatever it is to be able to join that unit, you're probably not going to want to move them anyway, but if you did, you'd need to have multiples of the same unit rather than different ones. But I'll talk much more about the honours properly when we get some real when we get the books in our hand and we get you some real deep dive style content back. But yeah, Swordmasters look really, really amazing. I think they've got this Ithilmar armour. I think that, if I remember right, they let them reroll once to save. Could be wrong there. Apologies if I am. They've kept their chop the arrows out of the air. Still not massively effectual. Probably less good without the stacking with the shields of Safri counters, but still very cool they've got it. Yeah, I mean, overall, they look mean, and a lot of people have said it. Exciting times ahead. I've also been pretty impressed with the look of Sisters of Avalon. They jumped out at me straight away because they're now skirmishers, which I think is a really positive change, a really awesome thing. Mainly because I think they always should have been. Never made sense to me that they were a ranked up unit, but they didn't have banners, didn't have musicians. It just always felt like they were kind of stuck in a weird halfway house, and I think this is a really, really hugely positive change that they now can take on this skirmishing role. You can also make them a unit core as well, which is wild. But yeah, really good. The bows look really solid. They've actually got bigger range now. And I feel like, from what I've seen of the core rules so far, skirmishers are going to be really, really useful. That 360 arc of sight, really powerful. The fact that skirmish is a much looser formation now, I really think there's going to be so much you can do with skirmishers. So, I could be wrong, obviously subject to me getting a proper rulebook in my hand, but they look really exciting, and I love those models as well. They're so cool. I used them before. Really excited to get them out on the table again, and I just feel really positive about those right now. And actually, just like the shooting in general looks really good in the High Elf book. So yeah, definitely look like you could do quite a defensive list. Look reasonably flexible, and it does look like you can kind of chase the game a little bit as well with your dragons in particular. Love me a dragon. And I'm going to finish with dragony stuff. That's right, the storied Legends of Kelador, my Keladorian army. I've done lots of work over the summer on this army. You're going to see it hitting the channel really soon, with new banners and and a lot of updates on my models. So I've kept my classic red colour scheme, but I've kind of changed some of the accent colours, and I've done this new basing, which you've already seen, with this kind of broken temple and stuff like that going on. So I'm really hoping people like the army as much as I'm feeling when I look at it now. But I couldn't leave this video without discussing the legendary Dragon Princess of Kelador. No lowering my banners for the Phoenix King here, because the banner of Kelador shall take pride of place in, I think, every list. And I think that's shown by the fact that the 0 to 1 limitation on them makes me think people are going to jump on those really quickly and say these are really powerful cavalry. And it's hard to look past that. They've kept their 2-up armor save, which a lot of other cavalry hasn't. That's really big. And they reroll foul dangerous terrain checks, or dangerous terrain checks of a 1. Really good, really good. They've kept their, lances are pretty punchy. Their standard rulebook, we saw them in an almanac ages ago, so they're going to be quite scary. They're the only unit that kept their 2 attacks in the book as well. Huge. So they're going to hit you on the charge at like initiative 8. Really hit you hard. They are impetuous now, which is a new rule. You have to roll a dice, and 50% of the time you have to charge if you can. So this is when I say things like the skirmishers strike me as being really important, because I want to use them to block the charge, and then I can charge them out of the way. The same with like fast cav and stuff. So I think there's going to be some tactical elements in there which we'll need to see, but I'm quite excited about that. But they look like they're going to hit really hard with 2 attacks. They've got their dragon armor protections. They've kept the 6-up ward, which is really cool with a 2-up save. They're going to be pretty hard to kill in a game where you know, getting a really high armor save isn't as easy as before. So I think they're going to feel a bit better, but they are toughness 3. And they've got only a 5-up ward against flaming now. I can boo hiss about that. We've come a long way from the heady days of immune to flaming, but I'm going to sort of smile sweetly at what I've got, which is a unit that looks pretty scary. And I think a lot of people are speculating that cavalry could be really tough to deal with for a lot of armies. Certainly hitting that front rank like a train. They've got that first charge where they can disrupt you up. They look mean. They look mean, guys. Your Dragon Princes, your Kelador themed lists, ladies and gentlemen. Gone perhaps are the days of the Charian themed lists that dominated the last set of rules. I could see the Kelador themed list returning with a vengeance, and the fiery dragon within me is nourished by this. So those are the things I'm most excited about right now, about getting on the table. Never thought I'd say I'm really excited about getting Seagard out, but I actually have updated the painting on 18 of my Seagard specifically to get them onto a battle report really soon, because I'm so excited about those Seagard rules that I've seen, and then things you probably thought you'd see. Everyone's talking about Swordmasters and the dragons and everything dragony based. Lots of fire related things in this video, so I hope that you've enjoyed my first thoughts. Please feel free in the comments to give us your feedback, your ideas of what you've seen for the High Elves so far. If you think there's a unit I've completely missed, if you think maybe if I've got something not quite right, because I haven't actually got the rules, I'm just looking at stuff on the internet. Yeah, let us know in the comments. As always, make sure you tell your friends, like, subscribe and share, all of that exciting stuff. And I look forward to seeing you really soon as we start to bring you a plethora, a raft, a draconic charge, if you will, of battle reports and content here on YouTube and on triplecrownwargaming.com. Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today. What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Doing it for Warhammer!